The Chicago Fire went up against FC Cincinnati over the weekend and tried a 5-4-1 formation and failed miserably. I'm here to tell you why. You're watching Firewatch FC. Before we get started, please don't forget to like and subscribe. There's a brand new YouTube channel. It would help me out a lot. With that out of the way, let's get started. You guys know how it works already. Green boxes for good performances and red boxes for bad ones. And in a loss, it's no shock that there will be 3 red boxes and just the 1 green box. And the first green box is going to go to Brady. Turns out that Brady was going to have a very exciting and involved match against FC Cincinnati. In a game with multiple corners, set pieces, and just shots on goal, we needed Brady to be solid. And that's exactly what he was. Brady was able to add 2 world-class saves on his portfolio today. One coming off a corner, and the other coming off a combination of passes that ended up in a point-blank shot at goal, in which Brady was able to extend his foot and make that save. Due to the change in formation, he was actually more involved and had to play with his feet this time, and I thought he did a pretty good job. A lot of the times he had to come out of the box to receive the ball, and I think he did that well. There were a few errors in his game today though. He punched away the ball a lot today. There were multiple instances where he could have just caught the ball and he instead opted for punching it out of the way. And some of those times they came back to bite him. The major instance was when he decided to punch the ball to clear it out. Instead of catching it, the ball ends up landing right in front of Acosta, and Acosta attempts a shot at goal. Like I said, he did that a few times this game, and then that can get pretty risky if you keep doing it over and over again. There were also a few times where he was caught in bad positioning, and once again, Acosta was there to punish him for it. Right around the 29th minute, Brady was well off his line, and Acosta noticed and looked up and tried to send it right at the top left-hand corner. And it was very close to get in. But all the goals that were conceded in this game, they weren't because of Brady. I thought Brady did an amazing job. So of course, green box for Brady. And while we're talking about Brady, let's go ahead and wish him a happy birthday. Moving on to our second box of the day, this is going to go to Shaqiri. I want to start by saying that at the very least, he did look active today. It really did look like he was trying. He was trying to give off passes all day long. He was moving around. He was applying pressure when he could. Effort was there. So I'm not going to knock him for that. And of course, he did take a good pen. He got the equalizer. But that doesn't mean it was a good game. Just because you were handed over a free goal does not mean you had a good game. It's great that you're inspired, that you actually want to try this year, but you have to be able to pass the ball to someone that's actually there. I went ahead and took a look at the stats for Shaqiri. His performance can be summarized by a bunch of incomplete long balls and crosses, and that's not okay from Shaqiri. Shaqiri attempted 4 crosses. None of them were accurate. He attempted 4 long balls, and only one of them was accurate. This is unacceptable from Shaqiri. Unacceptable for the Alpine Messi. Unacceptable for Bayern Munich's power cube. This is what you're supposed to be good at, Shaqiri. You're supposed to be good at these long passes. You're supposed to be good at giving the right assist. So where's all that skill that made you famous in Europe? This is unacceptable. Moving on to later in the game, he ended up committing a foul that led to a free kick in a very dangerous area right outside the box. We were lucky that Bupenza was the one that took the free kick and not Acosta, because Bupenza aimed for the sky. Then later when he was subbed off in the 85th minute for Chris Mueller, you could tell that he was bothered and he was upset. You can see that he was shaking his head as he was leaving the field. And personally, I just don't think a captain should be doing that. Captains don't complain. They do what's best for the team. If that means you have to get subbed out, then you're going to have to get subbed out and you're going to do it with a smile on your face. And to be fair to Shaqiri, a captain shouldn't really be getting subbed. When picking a captain, I strongly believe it has to be someone that you plan on keeping there for the full 90 minutes. That's why you always see defenders and goalkeepers usually become the captains, because you don't really sub them out during the game. But that's a criticism of Frank Lopez, not Shaqiri. So, red box for Shaqiri. The first red box for today, that's going to go to Chihos. But let's start with the positive. Early on in the game, he was able to block off a few shots and win a few tackles. But unfortunately, the negatives kind of outweigh the positive in his game today. The first issue that I saw with Chihos was during a corner kick on the 25th minute. Guti gives off a perfect cross, and Chihos didn't capitalize on it. Granted, he was under pressure by a defender, but he was right there, right in front of an open goal. Then on the 25th minute, he ended up getting nutmegged, which ended up opening up space for Cincinnati to get a certain goal. Luckily, we had Brady, and that didn't happen. But it was this close, and it was all because our defender didn't defend. Then the worst error of the game came from Chihos. At the 39th minute, he attempted a pass to Jimenez, but it ended up going straight to Bupenza, since he's DP number 9, right in front of the goal. And of course, he's going to take advantage. He goes for the shot, and of course it goes in. That can't happen. You can't gift wrap a perfect opportunity like that to a DP number 9 in MLS. That's just not okay. All you had to do was pass the ball. With a team as strong as Cincinnati, you can't give away these type of opportunities because they have the skills to take advantage of them. And just for that alone, it has to be a red box. And this red box, I'm going to take some time talking about. The last red box goes to Frank Lopez and the rest of his staff. After thinking it over and watching it a second time, this entire game was a coaching error. Number one, you can't play a formation that your team isn't fully drilled on. And if you feel like you need to test it out, you don't test it out for the first time against the best team of the league last year. That should be common sense. Secondly, Frank Lopez had a problem. He didn't have a left back that he could count on to both attack and defend on the wing. So, how did he solve this problem? He opted to play neither of his backups and instead put his attackers as wingbacks, thereby changing the entire formation just because he wants to attack from the wings. I cannot stress this enough. If you don't have the players to attack from the wings, don't attack from the wings. Find another way. Like I said before, you can't test out new formations against a top opponent. You just can't. That should be incredibly obvious. If you have the option between an attacking left back or a defensive left back, you go with the defensive left back and you find another way to attack. Instead, Klopas shoved Herbers and Haile Selassie into wingback positions. Herbers is a midfielder. Selassie is a winger. He shoves Aragoni as a center back. He is a left back. And you already have Pineda as a center back. He's a defensive midfielder. Do you realize that you have 4 different players playing out of position? That's obviously not going to work out. And it showed out on the field. No one knew what they were doing. No one knew how to get the ball to the attacking third. And that's because you have too many players that are playing out of position and the entire team has never really played in this formation. You're trying too much all at once against a very tough opponent. And I don't know, maybe they practice it for a week. But that's not long enough to fully understand what you're trying to make them do in those positions. It takes a very long time to cement an idea. You just need more time that you did not have. On the pitch, there was a bunch of space in between our attackers and our defenders. This made the attackers have to come in closer to the defenders just so that they can get the ball to do something. And once they got the ball, they weren't able to do anything because they were already too far back from the attacking third. Your strikers need to be in a good position. They need to be in an advantageous position so that they can start getting the balls into the back of the net or at least attempt a few shots in. The Chicago Fire only had 5 shots and one of them was a penalty. We were not doing our job. We were not attacking. We never tried to actually get a goal correct. We never even had a good goal opportunity. Not one, because that penalty does not count. Unfortunately, this was all on Klopas. In previous interviews, he mentioned that he's not married to a certain formation, but from what it looks like today, he's clearly married on the idea of attacking through the wings, even if he doesn't have the players for it. If I had the same dilemma, I would just play the greatest hits and hope for the best, because that's all you can do when you have players missing. Just play the greatest hits. Keep the 4-2-3-1 and have Dean be the left back. You'll have to bench Herbers for this, but you can bring him in later in the game. And with that, you can start attacking through the middle instead of the wings. The team would stay in a 4-2-3-1 when they're defending. And once you have possession, you can switch to a back 3 by moving Pineda up towards the midfield because he's a center defensive midfielder first. That gives a chance for Acosta to be able to go up right next to Shaqiri because Acosta can play as an 8 and as a 10. So now you have 2 different creative attacking midfielders up at the top being able to provide service to either Haile Selassie, Kuipers, or Brian Gutierrez. This way you still have all of your players playing in a position that they understand, playing a brand of football that they understand. The downside to this way of attacking against FC Cincinnati is that you're going head to head against Matt Miazga and Miles Robinson. But that's okay. Yes, they are good players, but they're not the most amazing players in the world that you can't go up against them. Believe in Shaqiri, believe in Acosta that they'll figure it out, and get your attackers in the right position so that they can try to do their job. They can use their partnership from there to just connect to Kuipers or to Brian or to Haile Selassie. You have lots of more options now. and you've created an overload up at the top. But no, instead we decided to go on this ridiculous 5-4-1 that the team has never played before. And this is all because Klopas was adamant about attacking on the wings. Completely unnecessary. Klopas towards the end of the game decides to copy Nunes' homework and add in a second striker. Look, yes, Gutiérrez did add a lot of energy and good hustle towards the end of the game. Loved Gutiérrez. But you can't expect to beat Cincy at their own game. They are the best at playing the two-striker system. What you do is you play your best game against their best game. That's how it works. You don't try to copy your opponent's strategies. Do what's worked for you in the past. And for Klopas to have the audacity to go on an interview later and say, I think at the end of the day, when you play a team like this, you make 2 mistakes and we paid for it. The Fire only took 5 different shots throughout the day, and only 1 of them on target, and that was the penalty. The team didn't test the goalkeeper at all. Cincinnati, on the other hand, took 14 shots, and 6 of them were on target. There was a massive difference in the performance today. Yeah, Chijos made the obvious mistake of not making a complete pass, and yes, a corner was conceded, but the point of soccer is not to defend a set piece. It's to score goals, to create chances to get the goals, to get as many shots on target as you possibly can, and hopefully you get to get one in. I don't want to hear that the reason that we lost was because we made 2 mistakes. We didn't create enough chances. We're lucky that Guti drew the foul, but that's it. That's all we did today. This one's on you, Klopas. Red box for Klopas. I got a little upset towards the end, sorry about that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it would help me out a lot. As you can tell, there's a brand new channel. But before you go, let me know what you think. What did I get wrong? Do you think I'm not being fair to Klopas? Do you think that there was someone else on the field that was more deserving of a red box? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts.